Hello, lads and ladies, and welcome to this. And welcome back. It's Wednesday night. It's the home of Sky Bet League One. Of course, we've got to be here to review the 12 games at the weekend. There was a few games last night as well, which we'll also discuss in this stream. But we can't do that alone. We need our co-host, the regular on this show, Jake from the Stacey West podcast. He's back as ever, which we're going to get him in now. Again, looking forward to hearing what he thinks as well, because normally he comes out with some, decent stuff, but sometimes not so decent stuff as well. But we'll hear from him in a minute. We'll get the comments up as well before we do come to Jake. I know he's very eager to join the show as well. Evening, fellas, watching in my man cave, listening along, won't be able to, in the chat room, have a great show. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. And enjoy the show, guys. If you are watching, let us know if you can see us and hear us okay as well. Jake, Tom is with us as well. He didn't expect that. You might see there's three of us on screen this evening. Well, we've acquired the loan signing of Tom from 4-0 written all over it. It will be nice to have some intellectual, if that's even a word, thoughts on League other than from myself. Tom, how are we doing, mate? We met up at the weekend. Some big weekend in League One, some big results at the top and some big results at the bottom of the league as well.
Yes, mate. It was a good weekend, wasn't it, for some of us, not all of us. But yeah, no, thank you for having me. It's lovely to be with you both. And can't wait to get the ball rolling on the Danny Cowley show.
Yeah, Danny Cowley. Tom's met Danny Cowley and interviewed him. He's never mentioned it. He's a bit shy, aren't you, Tom, in mentioning that one? But anyway, he's a bit like Jake on Danny Cowley as well. He gets a little bit... Honestly, it's putting these two together. They'll just talk about Danny Cowley all night. So, wish for us, we will try and limit that. And I think we should have a 2-minute limit. That's about it for each of them. That you can't go over that. Jake, how are we doing, mate? Good to see you. A big weekend for Lincoln City. A decent point at home. Another point that maybe you would have lost last year.
Yeah, no. Hello, Nappers and Tom. I'm hoping there's a recall option for the parent club of Mr. 4-0 over there. But no, all good, mate. Thank you. Yeah, decent point against Charlton. We're collecting some good points against some big football clubs this season. So hopefully Saturday follows in the same manner as well.
Absolutely. Should we start the show then, guys?
I think
let's go home.
See you later.
Should we just get rid of him? Again, if you could like the stream, we should go on as well. And, Stacey West podcast and 4-0 written all over it. Go over and subscribe to them. We'll plug them a little bit more later on as well. We'll start off with Barnsley, who were on a little bit of a good run. They were 6 unbeaten. Obviously lost at the weekend. Stansfield with 2 goals. The first one was an absolute pearler, wasn't it? From range. The other one he could hardly miss, but right place, right time, just like his old man, making his dreams come true in the Exeter City shirt. It's a big result away from home. We won't mention yesterday just yet, but it made it 2 out of 2 away from home, beating Forest Green Rovers. The scoring goals, keeping clean sheets. Jake, how big was that? Matty Taylor's obviously left the football club to continue that, good run that they've been on.
Yeah, massive for Exeter, and it just shows you, doesn't it, how they've really taken to this level. We've said it in the weeks before, haven't we, how Exeter have done really well. A lot of that was the work of Matty Taylor. Obviously, he departed, but in Nicholson, they've got continuity, and I think Exeter will probably look to hire from within because that's sort of the type of football club that they are. Like you say, Barnsley were really good at home as well, so it was a really good result for them because Michael Duff's sides are relatively strong, wherever Michael Duff's managing. So, really good win for Exeter. Is it a surprise? It kind of isn't, given how well they've adapted to the level. So, really good result for Exeter, like I say. But for Barnsley, I think Michael Duff will be very disappointed in the manner of the defeat. I think they probably could have defended a little bit better in moments of that game. So, yeah, I'm sure Michael Duff is a little bit disappointed as well.
And Tom, as well, I want to talk to you about Barnsley because you're one of those teams that I put in as the top 4, maybe top 5 in League One. Now, Barnsley, I think, are pretty substandard. I think they're a good side. But I also think, are we calling them substandard because how high expectations Portsmouth, Sheffield Wednesday, Plymouth, Ipswich are setting at this moment in time? Because the winning games of football, I think you're looking at 22, 23, 24, 25 goals scored. And it's a bit like you look at the Premier League, the standard that Man City have set the last 6 or 7 years, Liverpool have set, and kind of the other teams may be doing well, but they're kind of being like, well, that's not good enough. Although they are probably getting enough points to get into the playoffs. Obviously, wasn't a great result the other day. It's going to happen. What are your thoughts on Barnsley? Because I think they're doing as well as they can do with that squad, but I don't think that the level is 5 or 6 other clubs in League One, which maybe would make you miss out on the Sky Bet League One playoffs.
I was actually looking at Barnsley a couple of weeks ago and I thought, oh, they're starting to creep up on us a little bit. They're kind of putting some results together and starting to climb the table a bit. But I think you're right. When there's a result like a 2-0 loss to Exeter at home, that's you've got to be winning those games, haven't you? And it's a really disappointing one. You just look at the game in particular. The second one, Mads Johan Anderson's got to do better. I mean, he's got to. Like, how can you tap it in from about? If you've seen the goal, you tap it in from about 3 yards out. How can that be? You know, he's in acres of space. So there's individual errors that are going to cost Barnsley against the so-called smaller teams this season. I think we saw that at the weekend. But yeah, no, I think they're a good football club. I think it's, you know, it can be a quiet place at times, Oakwell. We know that, and it's a big stadium for League One football. But yeah, will they be up there come the end of the season? Early to tell. Bolton's a really defining game for them on Saturday. I think that'll be a really telling one. I think whichever of those two teams wins that game, I don't think that will be, you know, one of those two teams will be denied the playoffs on the day, but it will give them a lot of momentum and give them that impetus to keep on pushing and fighting for those results. It will take a bit of time for adjustment down in League One for Barnsley, I think, as well, because it's a completely different kettle of fish to the Championship, as we know, as you guys talk about here all the time. But I think they'll be okay. I think it's big shoes for Michael Duff to step into, and it's a big step from Cheltenham up to Barnsley, obviously. Completely different circumstances, completely different situation for him. Time will tell. Let's see how the next sort of results go towards Christmas.
Yeah, and Sam Nombe with 2 assists as well. A little smile from Jake. We've got there in the end. And 2 very good assists as well. It just shows you when Stansfield's scoring, Nombe can get assists. Giovanni Brown, again, another star player for them. Big result away from home for them. Disappointing yesterday, but I'm sure they'll bounce back. We will discuss that later on. Bristol Rovers played Cambridge. Now, Cambridge now have lost their last 3 games. Again, they aren't great away from home. Now, this was something that we discussed last year a lot on this channel, that they were brilliant at home, them and Cheltenham, but they weren't winning away from home. They'd get the odd win, and you'd kind of be like, well, that's going to be enough. They're obviously going to push on. And I said I wouldn't be too surprised if they finish in the top 10 this year. I think that's a realistic aim with the squad that they've got, a manager that they've got. You know, he believes in the cause that the job's not quite finished yet. You know, they've lost 5 out of the first 7 away games, which obviously isn't good. I think credit's got to go to Bristol Rovers. Coburn with a goal as well. You know, teenager, first league goal as well. The men's been a bit of a quiet place lately, Tom. It's been a bit, they haven't been great, have they? And, you know, Joey Barton was going away to big football clubs, weren't really matching the results. But this is a better result. They went away yesterday and beat MK Dons yesterday. And he put on an Instagram post. He goes, get in their box, not ours. Maybe sends a message to go in, press the hell out of them, you'll win 3 points. And it obviously won 6 points, changes the mood, and all of a sudden you're going into Saturday looking for a perfect week.
Yeah, you know a lot more about Joey Barton than both me and Jake do, Ben. But yeah, I mean, don't like the bloke at all. In fact, I really do dislike him. But I mean, they've turned it around the last couple of weeks, haven't they, Bristol Rovers? I mean, you look at it now. If you looked at it a couple of days ago, you would have been going, "Oh, it's been a bit of a tough run for Bristol Rovers at the minute." But they've really started to kick on recently, and that Cambridge one away from home, at home is a really big one for them. I don't know. It's 1 defeat in 5 in all competitions for Bristol Rovers now. Back-to-back wins, as you mentioned, clean sheet last night. Things are. Joey Barton does a fist pump to their home set of supporters on Saturday as well. I saw that. I feel for Cambridge. I'm sure Jake's going to chat about Cambridge in a minute, but they're a team that, you know, 3 losses on the spin. It's not looking great, especially after such a bright start. Is really disappointing for them. But yeah, Bristol Rovers came to Fratton Park and they weren't very good at all. They had a few moments where you think, oh, actually, you know, sit up, concentrate, and probably part of what the messaging is from Joey Barton has been, you know, get in their box, be aggressive, because he was an incredibly aggressive player and he's even more aggressive manager, isn't he? that's the kind of mentality that he's trying to instill. And if you can do that, if you can keep getting the results here and there, and he knows he's gonna lose a few, he's trying to instill a relentlessness and hope for Bristol Rovers fans that he does. But for the rest of League One and the rest of world football, I don't think we'll be feeling the same way.
Yeah, I agree there. Jake, I want to quickly move on to the next game, which I want to draw your attention to. Derby were at home to Port Vale. Now, Derby lose again. It was a bit of a mental game. Collins scores, gets sent off. By the way, Port Vale have gone 73 games without a penalty. They finally get 2 in one game. They are literally like bosses. Ellis Harrison does score the second one. The first one goes well wide. A brilliant signing. Obviously, never hit it at Portsmouth. Different expectations at Fleetwood, where, in my opinion, he succeeded. 6-20, kept Fleetwood Town in Sky Bet League One. And Wilson with an absolute thunderbolt when Derby were the most running ball down to 10 men trying to see out the game. But I want to draw your attention on Port Vale before we go into Derby, because we could be there all night. Brilliant result for them. They've settled into life really well. And every game I think Port Vale have battled in and probably could have got something in, bar the Exeter game away from home.
Yeah, Port Vale are just another showcase in the fact that the gap between League One and League Two is getting a little bit smaller. Those teams that are coming up are doing really well, aren't they? You know, you had Cambridge United last time. Plymouth did pretty well when they came up, didn't they? Obviously, it only took us a year and a half to really push on in this league as well. So, obviously, Ellis Harrison is going to be the man that's getting the plaudits. Like you say, Tom probably thinks different to what you think of Ellis Harrison. But he's really cutting the mustard at Port Vale, where the expectation is similar to where it was in Fleetwood last year. So the bar is at the same level, and he's shown that he can produce to that standard. So, Darryl Clark's a really good manager. I think he's shown himself to be astute. The playoff final against Mansfield, they completely walked all over them. And I think they've sort of taken a similar sort of stance to this season as Exeter have, in the fact that they've not been here for a while, so they might as well try and make a meal, try and make the best out of it while they're here. So, really good start to the season. Obviously, they needed a statement performance, a statement win for, especially Darryl Clark will be looking for that, especially when he wants to set standards of his players. And I think going to Derby, who are, one of the best financially backed teams, probably one of the best squads in terms of on paper and stuff like that, they've now set the bar for themselves, and I don't think that Darryl Clark will be happy with anything less. So, really like Port Vale, like you said. I'm really happy that they're cracking on it and doing all right at this level. Just need to back that sort of performance up. If they can go on Saturday and win again, then massive kudos to them. But if they don't, they'll be massively ruined that they've set these standards and they'll be disappointed that they've not met them again.
Yeah, I agree with that. Brilliant comment. Derby look off the mark, says Tommy. I agree with that. Now, I know they've only lost 4 of the first 11, and there are a couple of games behind due to the Queen's passing and international fixtures. But they just don't look fluid. Against Fleetwood, I think they had 32 shots on goal. Only had 5 on target. And, Peterborough are the same, had loads the other day. Honestly, you can have as many shots as you want. Oxford did it against Wycombe. It doesn't mean success. And for me, Derby just look flat. I know Collins has got off the mark, but they still don't look fluid. I know they've got an older team, but I can probably name 10 teams that I think are better than them. Probably some teams that are below them, I think, are better football inside than them. They've got a good squad, they've got good individuals, but are they a good team at this moment in time? I don't think so. I think that you're going to find you can't. I don't think talent gets you out of League One. What gets you out of League One is togetherness, is spirit, character. I see that in a lot of teams in League One at the top. I spoke to Tom, and he said you'll come in and see the exact same thing as you saw last year, and that was character. I don't see that in Derby County. For me, when you've not got that, you're not going to succeed. Look, they're 3 points off the playoffs. There's still 35 games to play. There's still, 105 points to be played for. If they can go and get 60 of those, they might squeeze into the playoffs. So, there's still a long, long way to go. And there's a lot of points to be going for. Tom, Derby, thoughts on that?
One thing you haven't mentioned is Paul Warne, obviously. And I think that might have a bit of an influence on the kind of what's going to happen. And as you say, you're quite right in what you say, that talent doesn't get you out of League One, and boy, do we know that. And so do many other clubs in this division as well that have been fighting to get out of it for God knows how long. I think they're unlucky. Sorry, not yesterday, at the weekend. I don't know if you saw any of the penalties that were given, but my word, what is he
It's getting
doing?
soft in League One.
I think the second one, okay, there's an arm goes up, fair enough, by the letter of the law, it's a pen. That's the second one. The first one, really? I'm not being funny.
Justice was done though. He missed the penalty.
Yes, exactly. That's what I had written down, is that justice was done. But Sam Allison's one of the worst ones, mate. And they keep. I mean, sorry to go off on a tangent, but Mike Riley, who's the head of officiating in this country, sent a letter to Danny Cowley. Here we go, Danny Cowley time. Sent a letter to Danny Cowley after our Crawley Town game. I know. Start the time, Ben.
It's a bit like Wycombe when they go 1-0 up, isn't it? He's like, start. You've thrown me off completely. Sent a letter to Danny Cowley, Mike Riley, from the head of the PGMOL, apologising for the 2 penalties that Sam Allison, who's the same referee that was at Pride Park at the weekend, gave, because they were, quote Mike Riley, not penalties. He's done it again. They're still putting him out there on these big games. I mean, the tens of thousands of fans at Pride Park don't deserve that, do they? I'm not being funny. It's just... And then the sending off as well. Really? 28,000 fans inside Pride Park, which is unbelievable support. And I do agree with you, Tom. You know, under Paul One, they are a type of side. They've got the quality, and he is the type of manager. He can go 25 without a defeat.
Yeah.
He's so good. He doesn't get promoted, 3 times out of this league if you're a bad manager. And for me, as soon as they got him, I thought, right, they've got a proper manager now. Forest Green Rovers. Conor Wycombe has scored 41% of Forest Green's goals this year. He scored 5 out of the 12. He's been a big impact. That's more than he scored in his last 4 or 5 years. Obviously, had a tough spell of it. Didn't really do anything at MK Dons. Obviously, Palace, a couple of other places as well. Bolton have lost the last 2 games, Jake, both by 1-0. They're still the best side defensively in the league, just above Fleetwood Town and Ipswich Town. You got to always.
He loves that, doesn't he?
He's got to mention that. Again, but it's a brilliant result for Forest Green, who I know they got hammered yesterday 4-1, which, for a side that have got the worst home record, obviously in the league, goals scored, goals against, it's a brilliant result. 1-0. If you can win 1-0 at home in a relegation dogfight, and Conor Wycombe, a little bit like Cole Stockton last year, where he's providing a lot of their goals, and if they can keep it tight at the back, maybe, just maybe, they might get enough.
Yeah, again, I'm going to sort of make the similar sort of point to what I did about Port Vale, in the terms that Forest Green haven't had it maybe as comfortable as Port Vale since they got promoted, but they needed a statement performance, and this is by far their best result of the season. What are you giving that, Ben?
This comment here.
Yeah,
it sounds more like a threat than.
Is that us personally or our teams?
Is it a Bolton fan?
No, Derby.
Oh, brilliant. Well, we beat them 2-0, so they can forget about it. Listen, really good result for Forest Green. They needed that statement performance, and they need, perhaps more than anything, more than proving to the outsiders, they needed to prove to themselves that they can beat one of the top teams at this level. And Bolton, without a doubt, are one of the better teams. They've had a bad week, but that defensive record speaks for itself. And I saw them in person, 10 days ago now. At the back, they looked immense. You look like you could. The police have those big old battering rams to get through people's front door. You look like you need one of them to get through past Ricardo Santos. Like, he's massive. Yeah,
I think I thought he was brilliant the other day, Jake. But if you look through their highlights this year, he's probably been at fault for half their goals, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing, because football's a game of opinions, Ben, and I think yours is wrong. But you know what? It's fine.
Honestly, you go back at their goals. Sheffield Wednesday plays it back to his goalkeeper, right? The goal is not even in his net, right? The goalie gets back and then leads to a goal. I think he's a brilliant player, and I don't think he's at the level he was at the end of last year to what he is now. I still think he's one of the best defenders at this level, but I think he's been poor this year, personally.
Yeah, but it's a really good result for Forest Green, showcasing that perhaps the ideas that Ian Birchnell's been putting on for them in training is going to sort of pan out a little bit more. And like you say, Conor Wycombe, seen him firsthand and how he can put the ball in the back of the net with just a half chance. So, they'll be hoping that he can have a Stockton-like sort of saviour to the season. But no, great result for Forest Green, and I'm sure that will lift the confidence going into the weekend game.
Again, quickly, now go and get a brew if you're at home. Lincoln City 0, Charlton 0.
Yeah, no point, Ben. Just skip on. It was rubbish. It was awful.
It's a good point in a way that in the last 6 games that you've won 2, drawn 2, lost 2. Now, over the course of the season, if you can get that, you get 60 points, 61 points, something like that. If I asked you that at the start of the year, you'd be absolutely buzzing, wouldn't you? Which I think is, a 15-point jump from last year? Did you get 46 last year?
No, we got 50. No, we were not in the 40s like you, Ben. We got 52 points. Thank you.
There's always a bite. Oh, we went on a good run. No. Again, decent point. I've got one question before we do skip on. Charlton had a goal. Well, a decider. Was it in or was it out? Because I'll be honest with you, from the highlights, I couldn't see because the camera was so far up.
I mean, I think it was a goal. I mean, it was comical. I mean, like Tom pointed out about the officiating at this level. I don't know if you've seen it, Tom, but as Charlton are going forward, I think it's Miles Lieburn, isn't it? The referee runs into Raksaki and falls over and injures himself. And because the linesman is then concerned about his colleague, he stops and is about 10 yards behind the player. Miles Lieburn literally dribbles the ball over the line, but Carl Rushrup just puts his hand on it. So you're not too sure whether it goes in, but I think photo is very conclusive. It does go in, but everyone's concerned about the referee, and the goal doesn't stand. So, I mean, happy days, but it just tells you everything. I mean, Tom went on a tangent. It just tells you
what, right? I tell you what, right? He's going, happy days, job done. A week and a half ago, Bolton, not having it. It's a disgrace. Paddy Lane offside. It's a disgrace, right? I said to him, I went, Jake, it will even itself out. It doesn't. I went, Jake, it will even itself out. Don't you worry, Petal. It will even itself. A question, just what a yes or a no. Goal line technology. For me, you've got it in the Championship. It's failed twice. Blackpool, Huddersfield, Villa, Sheffield United. That's the only 2 times I can remember in the last 3 years. For me, surely get it in.
Don't we have it already?
No, we have it in the Championship. We don't have it
brilliant.
in League 1 or League 2.
Yeah, no, not a chance. Maybe from this weekend onwards, yeah, absolutely. But yeah.
And we'll go to Morecambe next against Ipswich. Tom discussed to me about Morecambe because they lost again. They're the only side in League 1 without a home win. Them and Rochdale, Jim Bentley, the former Morecambe manager, are the only 2 sides in the EFL pyramid yet to win at home yet this season. Last year, their home form kept them in League 1. There's some big results there, especially towards the end of the year where they beat Oxford, got a point against Portsmouth, a point against Sunderland. They beat Burton. This year, it's not happened for them. They started well. Phillips scored an early goal, and then Ipswich hit the woodwork twice. Connor Ripley saves a penalty from Connor Chaplin. And then 55 minutes, goal goes in, heads go down, and then no real reaction.
No, yeah. When you're sat in wherever you are around the country, you get it pinged on your phone, don't you? Morecambe 1, Ipswich 0, and you're thinking it's not going to finish like that, is it? Come on. That was my initial thought anyway. I think they got unlucky, actually, Morecambe. It's quite surprising, actually. Last week, Ipswich fans didn't seem to think that penalties should count as goals if you score them at Portman Road. And this week, they're more than happy to count penalties as goals. So just amazing how minds change when things go your way, isn't it? Early stages. Well, exactly, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Early stages, as we know, Alex told me after the game that it felt like how much they felt like Ipswich, our draw against you boys benefited them at Fratton Park. Obviously, the mighty Cods deserved the point, apparently, before we went on air, but I'm sure we'll discuss that later on. When he saves the penalty, I just was hoping that would give them a little bit of a kind of, come on, boys, you're still in this kind of thing. But when teams like Ipswich, with the class and the quality they have, you just have to give it to them, don't you? And this what I was saying after our game is that Pompey should have beaten Fleetwood in the grand scheme of things if they're going to turn these tight games into results. And Ipswich have completely done that away to Morecambe. So massive respect to them. dubious penalty for me. First one's more of a penalty than the second one. Although, as you just said, they hit the post a couple of times. They had some really good chances to score outside of that. So I think a fair result. And yeah, and the result ends up being as close as it was. And I think Morecambe can take a little bit of something from that and think actually it wasn't a walkover cricket score. They managed to keep themselves as in the game as they could have done.
The battle, the qualities, they've got a bit of quality. They're not up to the standard of Ipswich, but sooner rather than later, they've got to take points from these games. Otherwise, you're going to be curtains. Ipswich were absolutely brilliant. I thought they were the other day. I thought the way they played after going 1-0 down, I thought they turned on the gas, and they could have had 6 or 7. Let's be honest with you. Obviously, Edmondson with the first goal, nice little flick on. I've noticed a common theme: Morecambe balls into the box, corner balls, 2 against Wednesday, another one here again. Weakness really that they need to deal with. A Morecambe, big, strong team, physical side, very rigid in the way they play. They've got to be better from set pieces. Otherwise, you will go down. If you cannot defend corner kicks, you will go down. It's as simple as that. I like what Phillips has done there. I think he's revitalised and scored a couple of goals. But Evans with the second penalty, for me, I think Lee Evans in midfield has been one of the best players in League One so far this year. I think he's commanded his area. I don't think there's many midfielders that's gone toe-to-toe with him, if I'm honest with you, bar a couple. They've won 5 out of 7 away games. I just think they're on the march. But again, this isn't anything new that Plymouth are setting it every week. Wednesday is starting to set it. Portsmouth until the last 2 games were, winning games of football. You got Bolton, who, again, a couple of blips. There's going to be blip strips along the way. But if they want to get promoted, they're going to have that. It's a big result for them, 2-1. Nasty side to play against. And these are results that that Ipswich haven't had in the last couple of years. Jake, I want to talk to you about Oxford. Then we'll go on to Tom about his favourite beloved Wycombe Wanderers. Oxford United again, lost again. And for me, I think Carl Robinson could be on thin ice here. New ownership has come in. They've not been playing good football. They had over 30 shots on goal the other day. However, only 5 on target. Missed penalty. And again, they look weak vulnerably. I think they've been caught out. They're not scoring goals. What are you thinking about them? Because you've seen them live in the flesh this year where Lincoln City were putting on a show and, they didn't really do anything against you, did they?
No. The thing is with Oxford, they've got some good players on the books. Flanagan is a top player at this level when he's on form. McGuane as well, who's probably been their player of the season, actually. By all accounts, he had another pretty decent game. But it's just not falling for them. For one reason or another, I noticed that Jack, the Young Fan podcast, put out a poll on the weekend, didn't he, about Robinson in, Robinson out. And I think it was pretty split. And, when I interviewed an Oxford fan before the game, they were sort of saying that this mentality of Robinson out is becoming a bit more frequent at the Kassam. And I can kind of understand, because if you think about the fundamentals of a Carl Robinson side, they are scoring lots of goals, scoring late goals. Defensively, not the best, but not horrendous like they have been at times this season. And Oxford are sort of a shadow of themselves. And the thing is, with this new ownership model, will they want to take the club in a different direction? Because obviously Carl Robinson was brought into the football club to get them promoted into the Championship. He's not been able to do that in 4 years that he's been there, 4 or 5 years. So for me, I can understand why the Oxford new ownership might be thinking about taking a bit of a change, having a bit of a gamble. Just have to bear in mind, from 16 games, was it a couple of years ago, they had 16 points and they still managed to finish in the playoff. So I think that if they have a really poor season, I can't see them involved in a topic with Pompey and Peterborough and Derby and all that lot. But if they're constantly putting in performances that are below par for what they expect, then I think it might be a decision similar to Appleton last summer, where he's taken them as far as he can go and they look for somebody else. But before Tom gets to talk about Wycombe, I just want to talk about the pass from Alfie Mawson, by the way. Wow, yeah. Did you see it?
Brilliant assist, wasn't it?
Wow. Into Farino. Wow.
It was some ball. It was just floater, wasn't it?
Wycombe all over, but I couldn't. I watched it on the highlights. I've seen it on Twitter because Broom, a mate of mine who's a big Wycombe fan, he's posted it about 50,000 times all over his socials this week. So, massive credit. Also, Oxford missed a penalty as well. So, Brannigan, who's been really reliable from the spot all season, and what was it last season? He scored 4 pens from the spot against Gillingham. He's off the boil, and it sort of showed. Maybe he should have moved up to Blackpool when he was at his peak.
Yeah, there's a few things about contracts that teams haven't been the same. If you look at it, like it's a very weird thought. You look at Mo Salah at Liverpool, got a new deal, didn't really do much. You can look at Cole Stockton, obviously not been the same. Obviously he's not got a new deal as well. There's so many players that you can mention from League One that got new deals, settled now. Don't hit the standard. Tom, just quickly, because for me, I think that was Wycombe all over the other day. Go away, win 1-0, score early, sit back, have a load of chances against you, defend it really well, and that you're the type of, if you were an Oxford fan, you'd be throwing your hot chocolate in your bowl for like Gareth Ainsworth, not liking him very much, wouldn't you? But that's the way they do it, and if you're a Wycombe fan, you absolutely love it. If you're against it, you hate playing against them. But I like Wycombe because they're so effective at it.
Yeah, so Oxford had 70% of the ball, 29 shots, 5 on target, 9 off target, 15 block shots. 15. And you just got to give credit to Wycombe's defensive resoluteness, haven't you? And, you say what you want about how resolute they've been defensively. That screams of a team that needs wholesale changes for me at Oxford United at the moment. Like, anything they do, it's just completely not falling for them right now. And as Jake was mentioning, they've obviously missed the penalty, which is not going to help early. It's quite early on, actually. That's the one penalty that was awarded by a referee in this division that actually was a penalty this weekend as well. So well done to whoever that was. If Oxford could wait until the 25th for when we play them at Fratton Park to make the managerial change, I'd appreciate it. I don't know what to make of Wycombe this season. I don't know what their ambition will be, to be honest with you, because they've sort of nosing around, up and around it this season, weren't they? And I think there's just not trying to include my own team in this conversation in particular. It probably can be for other people, but I think there's too many teams that are going to be fighting it out at the top for Wycombe to be in that conversation this year. And I think, that's just a fact of life at the minute. And unfortunately, that's the case for them. Interesting you mentioned about contracts. I like how you mentioned Mo Salah and Cole Stockton so closely together in the same kind of sentence there. But it's probably just an element of kind of relaxing a little bit. You take your foot off the gas and think, oh, I'm here to stay for a little while and I can chill a little bit and just, the games will come to me and I'll keep doing what I'm doing. But actually, you've got to be relentless with your football, haven't you? Especially when you're a striker that people depend on you to score goals from. So, yeah, but I don't know. What do we reckon for Wycombe this season, Ben? Where have you got them to finish right now?
For me, I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but I think they're well below where they need to be, and a couple of results, and they're back on where they need to be. I think that they're showing performances of grit. Accrington Stanley, the last win as well. Barnsley away, and for me, it's just that inconsistency. Now, if they can turn that odd defeat into a draw, or that draw into a win, I know it's easier said than done. I think they'll be okay, and I think they'll finish in the top 12 this year. Tom, a team that won't want him to finish in the top 12. Because they want to finish in the top 6. Clark Harris is now up to 10 goals. Now, a little stat for you. Again, they scored 11 in the last 4 games, Jake, with last night's 4-1 victory. 11 goals in the last 4 games. They scored 14 in the first 9. So you can see how they've upped it a level. And we've said, when it goes well for them, they score in abundance. Against Burton at the weekend, they had loads of chances, didn't score. Burton made it hard for them. They didn't get the result. It's a common theme, isn't it? The goal was poor, but Adriajo with a great goal. He's now scored Burton's last 5 goals. Again, very good point on the road for the Brewers. That makes it 7 points from the last 5 games. But Peterborough, good week. You're collecting 10 points from 12, 3 home games. Against the size that you're playing, you should be expecting that, really.
Yeah, as much as Peterborough deserve credit for putting some goals in this week, I think Burton deserve probably even more credit for going to London Road and getting a result. I mean, how you've got to be at a maximum to get a result from there. You won't be getting many results like that this season, Ben. I can tell you that.
Sorry. Whoa. Derby at home, Drew. I know. Here we go. Oh, we go. Portsmouth away, Drew. Oh, we've got this common theme here, isn't there, with me and you, us two going away. We went to Peterborough, got something. I think Fleetwood are probably, if you look at it, probably one of the best adaptable teams to play against to go to these big clubs and get something. But carry on.
I think you're discrediting Burton, really. It's another game for Peterborough where they've come up against probably one of the more physical sides in the league under Dino. And they needed to be, because under Jimmy Floyd they were literally soft as, well, I don't want to finish that sentence, but they were soft as anything. And Dino's come in and hardened them up a little bit, and it's good to see, because they, like I said, they were really bad, but yeah, they're obviously a really good point on the road at Peterborough, and then for Peterborough, yeah, they'll be disappointed they've not picked up a maximum points at home. But then, last night they went and run riot. So yeah, but I don't like Peterborough talk. I don't really like praising Peterborough, so I won't do it for much longer. But great result last night for them.
Brilliant. We've got a good question from Tony. He does have them as well. Quick question for Tom. You've had American owners now for 5 years now, and you're still in League One. Are you happy with them, or do you just tolerate them for what's happened before? Oh, big question.
It's a great question from Tony. I think a point if you were at Fratton Park and you had a look around, you would see that we've got 2 completely new stands, which is major, hefty investment. All new seats, new concourses, everything's been sorted out. The place has been given the ultimate lick of paint, and it's looking fantastic. In the last 12 to 18, 6 to 12 months or so, they've started to invest in players now as well. Me and Ben have been spoken about it to Jake at length as well. We had our best transfer window that we've had for quite some time. Took a while to get going. I think they had a lot of stuff that they needed to sort out behind the scenes before they could really get going. Ask me the same question at the end of the year, Tony, you'll probably get a completely different answer. But yes, I'm happy with them. I don't tolerate them as they're better than what was before, because I'm sure if Tony asking questions like that will know that we had some tricky times, we'll say, with ownership and financial fair play, all that kind of thing. And one of the reasons why there's so much rigorous stuff about top end management of football clubs from a kind of corporate and money point of view is because of what happened to people like us in Derby County and teams similar. And the ultimate is obviously the Bury example. So yes, happy and looking forward to seeing what the next few years brings under them.
Perfect. We'll go through these last 4 games quickly before we go into the League One table. Plymouth beat Accrington 7 out of 7. Coventry did that last year. Can they make it 8? Let's see. I think they've been perfect at home so far this year. Only conceded the 2 goals as well. You look at them. They're absolutely brilliant. They've won the last 4. They've won 8 of the last 9 since getting absolutely hammered off Charlton, lost 5-1. And earlier, obviously, they've only had 2 defeats, Charlton and Fleetwood, and they bounced back in every single game. And bounce back ability. Jake, we discussed last year that they went on a great run, didn't they? Was it 21 games unbeaten? And it was around about this time. They've probably gone a little bit, maybe a month earlier than last time. But if they can keep on for a month, that'd be brilliant. Obviously, I think Schumacher will stay. I think he's been linked with the Huddersfield job, the West Brom job, the Rotherham job. I think he's there to stay for the end of this season anyway. They look settled. They're not getting many injuries. They've taken on good sides as well. Went to Fratton Park, got a point. They obviously beat Ipswich at home. Been absolutely flawless at home. 3-0, electric atmosphere. The ground has completely changed. It's rocking again. And it was a brilliant, brilliant result for them.
Yeah, having your manager linked with the Huddersfield and the West Brom job is just taking me back about 3 years, mate. I absolutely terrified myself. Obviously, that man is now in charge.
Tom's got that to come, hasn't he?
Yeah, I'm glad you're smiling, Tom, but just wait. Oh God, look, a really, really impressive performance again. I think a lot of people, I think it's actually Sam Cosgrove is making a massive difference at Plymouth. Obviously, a lot of people, when they signed him, having a spell at Shrewsbury, having a poor spell at Blues in Birmingham as well. I think a lot of people went, well, is he any better than what they've got in terms of Hardy, etc. And ultimately, he's come in and done the business, hasn't he? Added a striker that you'd say that him and Luke Jeffcott are probably the same sort of type of striker, but yeah. Sam Cosgrove has just added a completely different element to his game from since we saw him last, and really impressive. Another really impressive win, and and Schumacher's got them playing some really good football. I mean, you're running out of words to describe them, aren't you? Because they are that good. I mean, I actually watched Tom's video this afternoon of when they played Plymouth at Fratton Park. Just brownie points. Like Tom said in that video, that Plymouth are very good in moments. And the game at Fratton Park, it was 10-15 minutes. They completely just stepped it up. But it looked like for this sort of game, that's what they did as well. And they had their moments where they just completely tore Accrington apart. And for me, they just need a 90 minutes perhaps where they dominate the whole game. I'm being very picky about them here, but Plymouth are very good at football, and I can see them probably taking one of those automatic spots at the moment. I'm not going to say definitely, but at the minute.
Yeah. I'm going to use Tom's favourite word, and we spoke about this. They hit you at moments, and they get you in spaces that you don't want to be, and they press you like you wouldn't believe. And then they know when game management, I think, is perfect for them. And mention Ipswich, mention Portsmouth, mention these big football clubs at your peril, but Plymouth Argyle, I'm telling you this now, are here to stay. They are a sleeping giant, and for me, they would be in my Big Six League One football clubs. For me,
his face. Look at his face.
Tom, my face. I just want someone to look at me like the way you look at Tom, but I don't have that, do I? You know what I mean? Look at you, I'm lying over 4-0 written all over it, and there's me in corner. It's like taking me back to. No, I'm not going to say it. Anyway, Portsmouth Fleetwood, Tom. Portsmouth Fleetwood, Tom.
Don't talk about it. Small game, rubbish game. Just move on. Before you two start scrapping, right. I am the referee, right? No. Ben, you can have your go first, mate. You go first.
Oh, okay, right. So I thought the referee was absolutely horrific, and now he was poor for both sides, probably worse for Portsmouth. I think the one thing that he helped Fleetwood with, it was very stop-start game, and if it was at home at Fleetwood, I would
very stop-start.
Yeah, and I hated that.
We will get to you, Tom. All right.
You've got to think stop-start, right, helps Fleetwood, right? Because Portsmouth are very good at just hammering you for 15 minutes constant. The first 10 minutes, they got us into a cage, and it was literally like first 2 minutes of a boxing fight, and they're going like that at you. And it's literally like we were like caged animals, and they should have been 3-0 up. They should have had a penalty, in my opinion. They should have scored a couple of goals. After that, I thought as soon as Fleetwood scored, I thought that was contained a little bit, mainly down to the referee, but I didn't think Portsmouth were any better either. I thought the chances were not great. I didn't think Fleetwood offered much, if I'm honest with you, but I think for Fleetwood's defensive abilities, the way that we defended, we created a couple of opportunities later on in the game. I think overall, maybe we probably deserved the point for the battling display. Look, you're not going to go to Fratton Park and get something every week. You're going to have to be a case warrior, really. And, we know we do get something at Fratton Park. But I think that we managed the game very well. And I think the game management that Fleetwood had probably deserved something. I think Portsmouth were probably in gear 3, gear 2. But it was a disappointing afternoon for Portsmouth, I think, but a good afternoon for Fleetwood. Fleetwood were celebrating at full time. And I think that says a lot about where Fleetwood are and a lot where Portsmouth will be at the end of the year.
Right, Tom. Let's hear your point of view, shall we? Let's put your gloves on and go again.
I was quite bored for quite a lot of the game, particularly second half. I thought it was very dull. Bright start. Ben's already mentioned it. 2 goals inside a quarter of an hour, 1 each side. I agree with absolutely everything you said, referee, all that kind of thing. One thing I would say is, I think you said the Pompey chances weren't very good, and I would argue
second half.
Second half, I think the order of the day was not taking our chances from our point of view, and Morrison has to go with the easy option rather than that flick on. And if you just place it to your keeper's right, then we're there, aren't we? Dale over the crossbar as well. I don't know if you saw that on the highlights, or you would have seen it live, Ben, for Jake on the highlights. It's perhaps more of an obvious goal scoring opportunity, and it's a different story if those two both go in. Again, we've spent so much time talking about it already, but I think it's worth another mention. I'm so angry about the standard of the refs in this division. It's just tangent time again, but it will help me get to the point I want to make. So I think it's important. Let the game flow is number one, right? And I know it does massively benefit teams like Fleetwood who are going to set up and frustrate and want to make life difficult for a big crowd and a big opposition. The worrying thing is for me, if you watch the Arsenal-Liverpool game at the weekend, right? 4:30 kickoff Sunday, big Sky Sports game. They put Michael Oliver on it, right? Bukayo Saka's first goal is a turnover in sort of 5 or 6 seconds right at the other end of the pitch. That phase of play, watch Michael Oliver all the way through. He's going absolutely mental like Mike Dean, given the advantage. Play on, keep playing. There's 3 or 4 fouls in that succession there. And what happens is Bukayo Saka buries one and he ends up scoring a goal from it. If the referee had even been the slightest like Michael Oliver's attitude towards the game on Saturday at Fratton Park, I think it would have been it would have benefited us more, granted, yes, and I'm going to say that because I will, but I just think it stifled us massively when and Jake knows this, when Danny Cowley wants to play the fast pace, get the ball going, keep the ball on the pitch, play your football, work your way around teams and be incisive and be aggressive and the grit and the determination. When the ref wants to blow up for every single little thing, is get the bloody little spray out and mark it out on the floor. We don't want the spray. Don't need the spray. We know where the foul was. Let us carry on. Yeah, no one needs a direct free kick. You give all the COD army, you get all 10 of them back beyond the ball, and you have to reset and go again. Whereas if you just crack on, anyway, that's my point of view.
Anyway, we're going to need like a sign that just says, be careful of the wet floor from Tom's tears at this rate. No, I'll be honest with you. I thought first off, Portsmouth chances, they should have had 5 or 6, right? They should have had 5 or 6, right? Second half, Portsmouth, in my opinion, didn't create.
Oh, real rubbish, mate. Rubbish.
And that's why I think you're saying you were bored. So we'll agree. We'll go to Sheffield Wednesday. I'm just going to say 3 words. Barry, Bannon, wow. Jake.
Oh, what a surprise. You come to me. I've got to talk up Wednesday again, have I?
You're brilliant, mate. They're flying. They've scored 25 goals. They've won 3-0. Putting teams that they should be beating out of distance. They're third in the league. Bannon scoring. Windass has got 4 goals, 4 assists. Deli Bashu's got his 3rd goal of the season. Barry Bannon, 3 goals, 4 assists. It was a pearl of a strike. They're making Hillsborough fortunes. They got over 50 points there last year. Talk to me about them because they deserve credit.
Yeah, they've got a game and a half next week on their hands. I promise you that.
They just need to be better as the better teams.
Yeah,
2-2. Plymouth they lost. Portsmouth they drew 3-3. It's like
but they beat Bolton, didn't they? So your argument.
It is, but they played 5 teams and got 1 result, and it's like if they can. Look, I'm picking pineapples.
You do it. You do. I'm not.
You know what I mean? It's like for me, I just want to see them a bit more from them than they already am. You talk, Jake.
Oh, have I got to? Yeah, no. Great result for Wednesday, obviously. 3 points, 3 goals at home. I'm sure they'll all be massively delighted. Cheltenham didn't really give them much going the other way by all accounts.
Lloyd should have had a goal.
I'm not too sure. Was it Deli Bashiru? I'm not sure what he's doing getting in front of Dan and Lundalu's face, celebrating like that. But no need for that. But no, it's a great result for them. They're beating the smaller teams, which makes me panic a little bit for next week. And if they do beat us next week, I will not be coming on. If we, I've been told that if we beat,
Tom, get the contract out, Tom. Yeah. We might need you on an emergency loan here.
I'm not. I won't be available if we win or lose. So fingers crossed we get a point against them. But no, I'm sure they're very happy with the 3 points. Obviously, they're a little bit behind the likes of Ipswich and Plymouth, but they're just so relentless with this Wednesday side. They're getting a bit more relentless. They're not the finished article. I think they're going to have to settle for the playoffs. That's just my point of view.
We're coming at the weekend.
Yes, I'm going to Ipswich on Saturday.
Perfect. And game. Tom, lastly, we'll go to Shrewsbury just quickly. Yeah. Brilliant result for them. Bayliss and Shipley scoring. Now, we know that we all have our kind of love affairs with opposition players on this channel. For me, mine is Jordan Shipley and Tom Bayliss. I love them both. I've one of my mates. He's a Coventry fan, and he talks to me about them too every day. He won't leave me alone about them. And he told me how good Jordan Shipley was. And it was Shrewsbury's first big signing, Jordan Shipley. They signed him in like May. And they both got 2 goals, both got 2 assists, but they both play midfield together in a packed midfield, 3 midfielders, 2 wing backs. It's a big result that for Shrewsbury, but MK Dons, man, they look poor, they look sloppy, they look like they're conceding goals, they look uncomfortable on the ball, they're not passing as many times, and they just look, I don't know. I can't describe how bad they look.
Yeah, MK Dons will be really disappointed with how they concede the first one in particular. Man of the match, you just said him, Tom Bayliss is quality, and he finds himself in so much space on right-hand side of the penalty area. It's a really good finish. And their second seems to go for everyone, and it's a really well-directed header from close range. There is a red card incident. It's Dawson Devoy who goes flying into Jordan Shipley, who's one of Ben's favourite people by the sounds of it, and rightfully gets himself sent off. The game's sealed for Shrewsbury from that point on, and it's a game that Shrewsbury were the better side in. The inconsistent run for them continues, yet they find themselves just outside the playoffs at the minute, so you can't really argue with it, can you?
Agree. Should we have a look at the League One table then? So basically, got it up just in front of me. With Tom, again, 22 points. You got a couple of games in hand. Peterborough won yesterday, puts you down, and all of a sudden you think, well, hang on, 2 points and we're outside the playoffs. That little bit of a gap that you had where you're thinking, oh, hang on a minute. You're 9 points behind Plymouth. And you think, oh, I know you got 2 games in hand, but you got to win those 2 games in hand. No, Plymouth drop points and then win again. It's mental how League One can work in. These referee decisions that you've mentioned can kind of come back to frustrate you because all of a sudden you're chasing points again.
Yeah, I mean, the situation at the minute is we do have those 2 games in hand, but guess who those 2 games in hand are against? They're against Bolton Wanderers and Barnsley. So it's not exactly
guaranteed. At some point.
Exactly, yeah. And it's, they're the 2 teams that are directly below us at the moment, aren't they? So that's going to be fun when that comes around. Yeah, I mean, not even individual refereeing decisions. It's kind of the way that a referee refs the game is sometimes going to be the problem there, but we won't bang on about that too much because I feel like it's all we've spoken about. When you need to focus on the players on the pitch, don't you, rather than what's going on? But it does have a lot of say. Plymouth have done fantastically well. I think I'm in the same camp as old Jakey boy over here, where I don't know if they're going to win the division. I just don't know. I know they've had the best start in League One, superior to Ipswich by a point. We drew against them at Fratton Park. I think we probably could have won the game, and that would be the only reason why I'd say maybe they can be got at, because it's a good Pompey team against one of the best Plymouth teams. And I saw a comment from a Plymouth fan somewhere, I can't remember where it was, but they said it felt like this season they got promoted to the Championship again. And when you've got that kind of feel about a football club, then you know that you're heading in the right direction. League One is a fascinating one for me. I'm looking forward to seeing how it pans out. I mean, a team that we're not even thinking about right now could really come out the blocks after, World Cup, Christmas, whatever, once that's all out the way. And then you've got the run towards the end of the season. So, I mean, I'm interested to see how Exeter get on over the next couple of weeks. Teams like that are kind of doing really well and are just sitting outside of your so-called top 6 best teams at the moment. Jake, table?
Yeah, not really been paying too much attention to it now that we're 18th, but the top, it's crazy, isn't it? Because you're looking at the table and you're looking at the top 7, you're thinking, well, it's probably going to be 6 on those 7 at the minute. And then this whole midfield thing, from like Exeter down, got 18 points, all the way down to Charlton. So between 8th and 19th was 4 points in it.
Or you could also say, Jake, between 16th and 6th, there's 5 points between it.
Yeah, but I wanted to involve them. So no, I won't be doing that.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
But go on, carry on, Jake.
Yeah, it's really tough. I genuinely don't think there's another. It's a lot more competitive this year. Last year we said it a lot, didn't we? There were 2 league tables in one division last season with the top 12 and the bottom 12. This time that's completely out the window. I think that there's a more even spread of good teams, and the quality has definitely got better for me this year. the quality in League One is a lot higher. So, yeah, I mean, obviously we're only some teams have only played 11 games. You still got 30 games plus 35 games to go and put a run together. And like Tom says, there's always going to be someone that crops up after the World Cup that goes on a bit of a run and surges towards the playoffs. Everyone's hoping it's their team. Just personally, with Lincoln, I'm disappointed that we're 18th. Yeah, but if we had 2 games in hand, we go up to 20 points, and that's 2 points behind that lot. So
is it?
Yeah, if we play 13 games, we get to 20 points.
I think the one thing that he's also forgot is that Portsmouth also have to play 2 games. And you've got to win again.
But they could. Yeah, but like Tom said, they're to Bolton and Barnsley. They're 2 games they could lose.
It's the hope that kills you, lads. It's the hope that.
Ours are against Accrington, and I'm pretty sure it's someone else. So
Portsmouth are going to win both games 4-0, and you're going to lose 1-0 in every game.
Yeah,
just know it's going to happen. Lads, this is the guy that came on this show and went, "I tell you what, it's done. Mark Bonner is Rotherham United's manager. I don't get." On the show, 20 minutes later, Mark Bonner declares, "I'm not going. I'm not going." So, lads, just take him with a pinch of salt.
What do you want me to do, mate?
We do it before we come to the final segment, the little Q&A that we do, as always. Jake, plug the channel like you do best. You're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Lots of good content on there at the moment. Obviously, we know Gary writes a lot for you. You do the video and for it. You talk to opposition fans. Explain a little bit more and what the goal is.
Yeah, I mean, it's amateur numbers compared to the 2 that I'm sat in between. But I'm not sat in between them because they're not here, and it's just me. So we're for the Station West podcast. So we do a podcast every week on a Friday at 12:30. We have a YouTube channel as well that I'm in charge of. We do previews and then a bit of a detox from the game on the Sunday, and then we have a website. Gary Hutchinson, who's a freelance football journalist, does puts a lot of his time into writing the Station West website, which is really good. It's got all sorts of articles on, and even if you're not a Lincoln fan, you'll be interested. So go and check us out. Like I say, we're trying to reach 1,000 subs, which compared to Yin and Yang that I'm with, it is practically our baby. But be good to get there. It's 650 at the minute, so any subscribes would be massively appreciated. Thank you. That's me.
There we go. Go and give him a subscription, lads. He does work hard. This man here, come on. Look at his little face. He's on the big screen. I've made it. Tom, again, you're on the road to 12,000 subscribers. Big boy numbers. And again, we met the weekend. It's always a pleasure to speak to you about football and League One. Give your channel a little plug because, again, this is a League One community. Every team pretty much that's in this supports a League One show. So if you're going to go over, go and subscribe to Portsmouth Representation because they do Sunday lives, 4-0 written all over it, vlogs. What can they expect and where can they expect it?
Well, I think you've just said it all, Ben. You've sold it better than I'd be able to. It's written along there, 4-0 written all over it. We always say the game's going to be 4-0. That's the running joke. Yeah, 150 odd away from 12,000 now, which is good going. Come and join us for a bit of a League One tour with Pompey. We're trying to get to every single game we can this season, so chances are you're watching this and I might come to your club. I might have already been there. So head over, have a look. If you like it, stick around. I must just say, though, before we do go, that both Jake and I think, I can't see him, so I haven't got the visual stimulus, but I think that Gary, I spoke to him on I've got the visual stimulus now. Thanks, mate. I think I spoke to Gary on like a Lincoln live show before the game. Did he used to do something with the club?
Yeah, so before in the lockdown season when we got into the playoffs. Yeah, Sam Ashu, yeah. Good man.
Yeah, so those
I'm disappointed in you.
What?
The season we got into the playoffs, you need to pick up that piece of information. He does this. Carry on.
True.
The season we were fantastic, yeah. I just wanted to say that the stuff that Jake's doing's exceptional as well. And obviously we know Cod's vlogs, don't we? Everyone subscribe to the channel, so we don't need to say any more. But I always watch the predictions. It starts off my League One weekend. And yeah, stick around on all three of the channels. It's not a case of shout out to me, shout out to Jake, shout out to Ben. It's a group thing where we're all working hard to provide the entertainment for you lovely people out there. So thank you for all the support on behalf of all three of us. Thank you. And yeah, bring on I haven't ever stuck around to this point, Ben. I'm honest. So I'm in the dark on this one with the Q&A. So we'll see.
What we do now, again, if you could like the show as well, guys, as we're going on.
Oh yeah, do that. Definitely do that.
Appreciate it. We press ham on that like and subscribe as well. We're just over 400 away from 10k as well. Again, we'll do 5 minutes live Q&A. Ask us anything you want, all three of us, or a particular member of the panel as well. We will get back to you as well. Enjoyable stream again, guys. Good luck for the Cods and Pompey at the weekend. But most of all, come on, the Imps would love to see you bring back the 3 points. Again, big games for all of us at the weekend as well. Plymouth 10 games from 20th of November to the 25th of Jan. Last season, they lost 6, drew 2, won 2. Big part of the season that, they bounced back and then they went something like, they won 6 games in a row, but then they lost. I think they didn't win in the last 7 games of the season, drew 3, lost 4 by memory, got hammered against MK Dons on the last day and missed out. So last year was a weird one. And for me, this year in League One, it's much more enjoyable because you've got teams that can actually challenge. Last year was literally 80 points, 83 points. It's like, it wasn't enjoyable because I enjoy teams. This is funny. Slipping up and then, bouncing back in the next week. Hang on, you lose, you're worried that you're going to slip out the playoffs, getting a win, and all of a sudden you're third again. And it's like, last year you kind of had to win. Otherwise, if you lose to, you're 13th in the league and you're like, well, we can't get back in now. I don't know what you guys think.
Well, I bet you are enjoying yourself, Ben, because you've got nearly half the points tally from last year.
I know.
In October.
To be fair, we're a much better team now. We've got a better manager, bigger budget. It was always going to happen. Let's be honest. Like last year, I said it as soon as Fleetwood got out of that, it'll never, ever, in my opinion, Fleetwood getting 40 points, not bad of a season, will ever happen again. It was to do with our owner, budget cut. Our owner's probably making as much money as anyone else now, with his electricity company, gas company, he's skinting all us to make a fortune. So that's what he does. Charlton finally won yesterday. Big result that for Charlton, Jake. They're creeping up. They're just above Fleetwood in the league. Not a bad result, eh?
Yeah, no, good. Especially against Exeter. Like I said earlier in the show, they've done really well. Another two goals for Stansfield. Another goal for Stansfield there, wasn't it? The volley from the in the top bins. Have you seen it? Unbelievable.
I've not watched that game back yet, I'll be honest with you, but I've watched all the weekend's games back.
I'm glad to see Charlton have improved from the weekend though, because they were dire on Saturday. Yeah. They didn't look like they could hit a barn door, and then they got them scored 4, which pretty much just sums League One up in about 20 seconds, doesn't it?
They've drawn 7 of the first 13. It's really hard. Fleetwood is similar, to be fair. We've only won 3 games all year. And it's like, hang on a minute, we're just drawing too many. I know we've only lost 2, but we now, one of those.
And the next team to go to the Vale is
Portsmouth on Monday.
You saw that. I mean, I tell you what, you're always electric at the Vale, aren't you? To be fair, you're electric anyway. But
what Marcus is?
I hate this question.
2 yards out.
What are your predictions for the top? Tell you what,
how do you remember that?
We all have to say. Sorry, go on, Jake.
No. I remember when we signed him, a load of Pompey fans were tagging me in his performance away at the Valley, and how we tore it apart. Did all right for us there, then.
Sorry, Ben.
Right, tell you what, we all have to say 2 teams that are going to get into the playoffs instead of doing top 6. But we all have to say 2 different teams. Okay. I'll let you start, Tom, because you're new to it. You can go the easy route.
Oh, I get pick of the bunch, do I? What, 2 teams that aren't in the playoffs that will be?
No. Your top 6 at the end of the year, 2 teams that will definitely be in the top 6 at the end of the year, in your opinion.
Ourselves. And I think Ipswich are nailed on for a top 6 finish.
Okay, Jake?
Wednesday and Bolton.
Wednesday and Bolton. For me, so you've gone with the top 4, basically. So you've said Ipswich, Plymouth, Wednesday and Bolton, have you?
Yeah, Bolton are 7th, aren't they?
Yeah, I think... so hard. I think Peterborough will sneak in because I think the quality that they've got. I don't think they'll win it. I think in difficult moments, but I think they've got more than enough. Oh, it's either Barnsley or Derby, but
God,
Derby.
suspense is killing me. Oh, he's going for
Derby.
Derby.
I'm going Derby. You know why? Paul Warne. I can't write off Paul Warne, and I think that he might need time, but I think that they'll just squeeze in.
So what's your top six,
I'd
Ben?
prefer Barnsley personally to watch Barnsley in the playoffs over 2 legs at this moment in time, but I just think Derby, the way they set up under Paul Warne, will be difficult to play against, and they'll, like Cambridge away, they'll just win and win. It'll turn them into a winning machine.
List them. Top 6. Go on. What are we saying? Right now in the moment, forget about kind of...
I'd agree with your 4, by the way. Miles on. Derby 6th for me. Bolton 5th. No, Peterborough 5th. Bolton 4th. Oh. Wednesday 3rd. No, Portsmouth 3rd. Wednesday 2nd. Plymouth are going to win the league.
So Ipswich are 7th then?
No, Ipswich are 2nd.
Ipswich are 2nd?
Yeah, Ipswich are 2nd.
Jake?
Bolton 6th. Argyle, no. Wednesday 5th. Wednesday, Pompey 4th.
4th? 4th.
It's yeah. You'd take that. Where did you finish last year?
Yeah. I don't know many Pompey fans.
Look at them discuss.
Carry on.
So I've gone but Bolton 6th, Wednesday 5th, Pompey 4th. Who have I got left? I've got Ipswich to win the league. Plymouth in 2nd. And who does that give me third? Shit.
I'm going to bottle
it.
I'm going to bottle it.
I'm
going to change Plymouth and Ipswich. I think Ipswich will win the league. Plymouth 2nd.
No, don't. No, you've heard
no, I am. I just think that. No, I am. I'm not a man of the word.
To Tom. Let's go. Tom's got his affairs in order, so let's go to Tom.
I've got my affairs in order, have I? There's so many teams you could put 6th. I'd want to put Bolton, Barnsley, and Derby all in 6th. I just would want to. So 6th right off. And then the 5 top teams in the division are Ipswich, Plymouth, Sheffield Wednesday, Portsmouth, and who else have I missed? Put it this way. Pompey, Plymouth, Wednesday will be playing Championship football next season. End of.
For me, I think that Ipswich wins the league, Plymouth automatic, and I think it'll be between Wednesday, I think Portsmouth, Wednesday, Bolton.
Imagine Pompey Wednesday as a playoff final at Wembley. Oh,
we'll struggle for tickets there, mate.
I'll tell you what. We'll start to me a card come January now. Where is Sheffield Wednesday then? Sheffield Wednesday 3rd in mine. 4th in mine. It's so hard when you're not writing it down. Wednesday, Pompey and Plymouth to go up, hopefully. I think Ipswich.
Well in, Tony. Love a bit of
Ipswich instead of Wednesday for me. Can we just discuss this quickly before we go? The blackout. What are your thoughts? Because I want to see your thoughts before I say mine.
Jake, or was it me first?
I'll go for it. I think it would be a really bad thing for English football if the blackout was to be lifted. The main reason why the EFL is the best pyramid in England, have the best pyramid in general, is because of the crowds that attend these games at this level. You know, for example, you've got Wrexham, Oldham, Chesterfield, Notts County all pulling up 10k in the 5th tier. Around the world, you don't get that. And if we then put those games up for broadcast on a 3 o'clock that you could be in the UK and just stream it, it would be catastrophic because teams would go under. They wouldn't have the reliability of the gates that they do. So. You know, Pompey, what they get 22, 23k, I would guess. At home.
18, 19.
18, 19. if you were to put the blackout was to be extinguished,
You still get
gonna...
18, 19.
Well,
At Pompey, you would.
Yeah. Okay.
I think maybe for smaller clubs,
but yeah, it would kill some teams off. It would be catastrophic for some football clubs. And I think that if it gets done, then I think we can pretty much kiss our pyramid as our status as the best pyramid in the world away, because we won't be. It'll be disappointing if they put it through, but yeah.
Those that are celebrating it, in my opinion, are not true football supporters that go to games week in, week out. That's my personal opinion, that they're ones that want to watch Man United on the settee. For me, they made a big push over lockdown. Support your local club, go to grassroots level, go to your non-league pyramid, go to your local league club, support them while we can. For me, do that. I think the best thing about it is you have your live games. There's a lot of football on TV anyway. You can go to your football on a Saturday 3 o'clock. You can go to the pub after watching the 12 o'clock game, watch a 3 o'clock game, watch a 5:30 game. Sometimes it's even an evening game. Then you've got 2 or 3 on in the daytime on the Sunday. For me, leave football how it is, and it's precious. It brings joy to so many people across the country, and you don't understand how people going to games need that. Do not bring the blackout in, because it'll just tempt people not to go, and I hope they don't. Tom?
Well, you've already kind of got the sort of the pre-shocks of it when you look at a game that's been televised, Charlton Athletic Pompey on a Monday night at 8 o'clock. All right, still sold 2,500 tickets in the away end, but for lesser clubs, how many people would just sit there and go, "Oh, just watch that on the telly"? You don't want to go to London on a Monday night and they just stay and watch it. Give an example, Ben. How many Fleetwood fans would have come to Fratton Park on Saturday if they could just sit in St Anne's on Sea and watch the game from their settee? I'm not saying that you would, but it's it. And the thing is, with the Premier League grounds, Tottenham still managed to.
Tom was giving up the location that I live. Appreciate
that,
mate.
Sorry about that. Undisclosed location in Lancashire somewhere. Yeah, you think about places like Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Emirates, Stamford Bridge, Old Trafford. It's still sold out. Even doesn't matter what time of day it is. It could be 5:30, as you mentioned, or the 4:30 on the Sunday, or lunchtime, or whatever. Lesser places, League One and League Two, Championship already see a little bit of it when there's so much Championship games on football at the minute. The numbers will start to dwindle, and they're already not amazing in some places, but I agree with both of you. We have one of the best football pyramids on the planet, and football's so important to literally absolutely everyone I know lives and breathes football pretty much. And anyone I spend any time with, because they're sensible if they live and breathe football. So yeah, and I think just one more thing as well, because I know we've all got lives to get on with, but the thing you say about football's fine as it is, you could argue there's a little bit too much of it, isn't there? Like, there's a comment that's just come in from Jeff saying, remember, and it was just match of the day. But you think, well, yeah, I mean, you'd look forward to, luckily, people like me can say you look forward to watching your Premier League side, because back in the day, I did go home and watch match of the day, and Pompey would be on there, although we'd be on there last. I've had to get that in there. We'd be on there last every week, but you'd be on match of the day. And it'd be nice to kind of, I think if you took games off the telly, you'd get more fans of the football. Maybe that's what they want to do. Go the other way rather than press on with a blackout.
I agree. Lads, thank you very much for joining me. Again, 75 minutes of pure League One action. Jake, thanks for joining me, mate. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Well, like I said before we came on, I'm a rose between two thorns. So I've enjoyed, brilliant. I've enjoyed my role as referee tonight for you two squabbling over the game at Fratton Park. So no, thanks for having me back on again, Benjamin.
No problem. And a bit on referees. Tom, good to see you, mate. Thank you so much for stepping in. Sure, we'll hopefully have you back on again very, very soon.
I'm always around. Well, I am. I can always clear my schedule for you, Ben. And if Jake's here, then that's kind of a bonus, isn't it? But, some might say it's a bonus. Some might say it's a bit of a hindrance. But there we go. Yeah, no, I think it's been great. He doesn't like the solo layout, does he, Jakey boy? I wonder why he doesn't like doing it.
Get him in 4D.
Yeah. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for all your comments as well. lovely chat. And just one last thing, Ben, 75 minutes of pure League One action sounds like a dodgy stream overseas of a League One game that cuts out with 15 minutes to go. So love a bit of that. Thanks for having me, and I hope to see you soon.
No, it's been absolutely brilliant as well. So thank you for everyone that has joined the stream as well. Again, if you could leave a like as you do go as well. Subscribe to the Stacey West podcast as well. 4-0 written all over it as well. Links will be in the description below when you're watching this back as a video as well. Thank you very much for watching. Again, subscribe, like, big over and out from me. We will be back with some League One predictions later on this week as well as the matchday vlog against Shrewsbury at home. Thank you very much for watching. A big over and out. Up the Kyods, up the Imson, up the Blazers.
Probably
there you are. Got to get that in. Thank you very much. Go on the boys.